I'm glad we only got an inch of snow last night. We all got caught off guard this morning. I was a little concerned that the drive had not been plowed, but as I was shoveling the front walk this morning, I realized that under the snow was a thin sheet of ice. And I almost landed right out front here. I would have had to sue the church. But I realized I wouldn't get anything anyway, so I just, so please bear with us. I know the snow isn't a lot, but trust me, it's safer than had it been scraped off. And then this week we'll get all that in order. So as we celebrate today, the beginning of yet another month, 40 days ago was Christmas. Hard to believe. And already we're finding ourselves moving toward Lent, talking about fish fries and the revival and those things to come. But today, we celebrate this feast of the presentation of the Lord. It was something that Mary and Joseph had to do. You know, we talk about our religious obligation to attend worship every Sunday. This visit to the temple was an obligation that Mary and Joseph had. It was one of those things, it wasn't an option. If they were going to be faithful to their heritage and their Jewish faith, they had to go to the temple, present the Lord, and offer sacrifice in thanksgiving for his healthy birth, and that God's blessing would be upon him. They were, of course, of modest means, and so they didn't have a sheep or anything to offer, but 2 turtle doves, 2 pigeons, that they offered in sacrifice. They were on their way to the temple for an ordinary observance of the law, and something extraordinary happened. They encountered 2 prophets. The prophet Simeon, who tells Mary and Joseph that this child will not only be great and be the rise and fall of others, but also says to Mary that, you know, as a mother, this child is going to break your heart. Your heart will be pierced by a sword of pain, a sword of suffering. Those who are moms here say, that ain't nothing new. Anyone who has raised a child, has a child, know that a child brings great joy and great suffering, great hope and great challenge. And so what Simeon does is remind Mary and all of us that this child, Jesus, is going to grow up like every other child in every other family. And they're going to be blessed and they're going to be challenged. Even Jesus says if we follow in his footsteps, he never promises us that rose garden, but says each and every day we must take up our cross and follow in his steps. So not only does Simeon prophesy in the scene, but we have the great woman Anna, the prophetess, who comes along and also says great things about this child revealed to her by God. With this scene in Luke's Gospel, the story of Christmas comes to a close. It comes to full circle because we saw how Jesus' presence in our world was revealed first to the shepherds, representing the poor and those who did not matter in that day's society. Then Jesus is revealed to the Magi by a star, representing God's revelation to the whole world and the gift of salvation for all peoples. But if we miss the point of those stories, today it is made very clear that God comes to all, young and old alike. It's why we celebrate the gift of our elders. We celebrate those of our wisdom council because God continues to speak through them. The scriptures say it. This woman Anna, who was 84 years old, was able to see great and wondrous things and to share that and proclaim that good news. So too, we continue to look to our elders, and in particular, we look this day to the women of our community. Women of faith, women who have led us and guided us, who have helped us to grow to be here today. Men, as much as we like to think we can do this on our own, ain't no way. There's no way. There is no way, except for the wisdom and the grace and the care of our mothers and the women in our lives who continue to lead us and guide us and help us. As we gather today, we celebrate that gift in our community. And just as Anna, the prophetess of old, spoke in the day in the temple and took an ordinary event and made it into something extraordinary, so too we have, if you will, a prophetess of our own to speak forth the good news. Remember, prophets aren't fortune tellers. Prophets don't make up or see into the future. Prophets tell good news. Good news about the power of God unfolding in their lives and in our lives. And so we do indeed have a prophetess among us who will speak, who has taught our children, who has worked in our schools, who has served our community, both locally and more broadly. She serves as the Director of Office for Ministry for African American Catholics here in Cleveland, has also represented our community nationally in the National Black Catholic Congress and the various committees in the work that advance our faith and our spirit in the life of the larger church in the United States. Currently is serving in that role as Director of the Office for African American Catholic Ministries, but also now a member of our church. And serves. And currently serves as the Commissioner for our Education Commission. And so on this Women's Day, on this Women's Day, please join me in welcoming and bringing forward for our blessing Vanessa Griffin Campbell.
Ain't nothing like family, is it? God is good all the time. Before I begin, I'd like to say my favorite prayer before I speak to groups. And I just want you to be silent for a minute. Before I begin, I would like to read this. God, our Creator, our Father and Mother, in the presence of all here, we praise your holy and blessed name. You keep the proud at a distance and look upon the lowly with favor. Stretch out your hand and bring us life. I will proclaim your greatness, my God and King. I will thank you forever and ever. Every day I will thank you. I will praise you forever. The Lord is great and is to be highly praised. His greatness is beyond understanding. What you have done will be praised from one generation to the next. They will proclaim your mighty acts. They will speak of your glory and majesty. And I will meditate on your wonderful deeds. People will speak of your mighty deeds and proclaim your great goodness. Amen? Amen. Today's theme is called to serve, even if we don't want to answer and be on Team Jesus. Now, when Father Bob gave me a call on behalf of the Women's Day group, the Women's Committee, and he asked if I would serve as the speaker today, I was honored, yet I thought, who was not available? But you know how it works. Let me call so-and-so. Let me call so-and-so. Vanessa's always available. And I am for our church community. Many of you know me, but many of you don't know some things about me. Some wee little points I want you to know. My father said, go to college, get a job. Now, which side did I go? Because you know, when you're a teenager, you don't want to go to work. So you really want to go to school and have fun. So that's how my story began. But also you don't know that I'm married to a military crazy man. So that means I live military. Right now, my husband is collecting goods for the USO. So in my house, I got all kinds of small sizes of everything to go to the military. You know, so if you have anything you don't want and it's small, give it to me. He'll be happy. You also think I only have one child. She always tells me, people say they think she's the only child. We got more kids at my house. 2 males. My daughter, Gita Martin, she's sitting back there. She's married to the deacon's son, Eric Martin. So the Martins and I, we kind of like family. So we love each other for that. I don't eat cooked fruit, so don't get mad when I don't take a piece of pie. My mother had us peeling things when we were 5 years old. You probably don't know, you can really peel with that butter knife. We used to peel apples, peaches, plums. So that means I don't eat jelly, I don't eat preserves, none of that. I drink hot water. Not warm water, but what kind of water, Tony Smith? Hot water. So, don't offer me a glass of water unless it's okay. And I was born in Greensboro, Alabama. That's 100 miles south of Birmingham, 55 miles north of Tuscaloosa, 22 miles west of Selma. My parents prayed for a son. Again, they were a little disappointed. And some people get lucky. Either you're born on your parents' birthday, the day before, day after. I was born the day after my mother's birthday with the assistance of a midwife. All right? And so my Aunt Corinne tells me this story. She told me this story, but she's now deceased. But she told me this story that my grandparents' ritual was when a child was born, they were handed over to an elder. And the elder was to have prayed on kinds of character or what kind of person they wanted that child to be like. And my Aunt Corinne was a teacher, but she also was a praying woman, and she had a lot of faith, So when they had this big bowl, and they put these straws in it. And so when I was born, I think I was like the 47th grandchild. And so Aunt Corinne had never had the opportunity to be the first one to handle a child. She said she prayed that the biggest straw was going to be her straw. And actually, I think she set it up because she was the straw planter. She put the straws in the bowl. So she said she pulled the straw, and lo and behold, like they pull the straw when the baby is being born. And so she pulled the straw. They hand me over to Aunt Corinne. She went outside, because this is the ritual now. Y'all got to get this. They pull the baby up, shake the baby in there, shake the baby. And the shaking is to shake in those values and some of those characteristics. Aunt Corinne was a teacher, so she was like, Lord, let her be a teacher, let her be a teacher, let her be a teacher. And my mother said, Corinne, I want to keep her. I just had Corinne. So Aunt Corinne was like, I just want this girl to be a teacher. Well, I was a teacher. And I think it was because Aunt Corinne shook it in me. Not that I thought that I wouldn't be an excellent teacher. I was pretty good, right, Dee? I was pretty good. And so one day I decided that when I became a teacher, naturally I was out of school, and I went over to the principal, and I said to her, I think maybe it's time for me to move on to a classroom where the kids read and they don't cry for about 2 weeks and they don't call your mommy for 3 weeks, because I was a kindergarten teacher. So the principal, she said, I think your gifts are best suited with the little ones, and then you get the parents in the mode of how to adapt to school life. You have such a gift with people. We want to just keep you here. You're our greatest asset in the school. And I thought, she's playing my neck. So I told her, like a fool, I said, today's my last day. She looked at me and I looked at her, so I went back into my classroom. I had a teacher's assistant, and this was like in the late 70s, maybe 79. I had a teacher assistant, and I told her, I said, you know what, let's put the kids all in little PlayStations. I got to make a phone call. Because in 79, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have cell phones, so I had to go out to the payphone, which was across the street from the school. So I just sneak out of the school, so I walked across the street, only because, I couldn't go in that office and make the call, right? Because the secretary was who ran the school. We all know the secretary runs the school. So I couldn't go back in there because she was going to tell the principal. So I went over to the payphone. I gave my parish priest a call. And I said, It rang. I said, maybe I don't know the number. So, I just kept dialing. Back then, you got a busy signal, because they didn't have call waiting. So, I got a busy signal. I'm just calling. And then when it was ringing, he didn't answer. I said, oh, shoot. So I go back to the classroom. I talk to my aide. And she said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just getting a few personal items because I am a good teacher. So if I'm not coming back tomorrow, I'm going to make sure the lesson plan is all set. So the substitute or whoever they put in here, she'll be, I'm not leaving her high and dry because I am a Christian. So I take out of the classroom, I think I had a picture of Gita's baby picture in my desk drawer and a picture of my son. And maybe my favorite Laddie pencil. I still have that Laddie pencil. And so that Laddie pencil I took, and that was it, and I waited until the school day was over, drove up to the parish. You should remember this. Don't you? I'm talking to you. I drove up to the parish, Father Joe Romansky. I drove up to the parish, and he was there. And back then, the nuns, they blocked. Where you at, nuns? You block. So, Sister said, and I say her name, but she's deceased. Sister Eunice said, Father is very busy, Vanessa, and you must schedule an appointment. I said, okay, sister. So I just walked in, opened up Father Joe's door, and went in and said, Father Joe, I just quit my job. I can't go home. And he said, why would you quit your job? You had a teaching job. I was like, and it was a good one too. And he said, well, Vanessa, I think we have some changes we'll need to discuss. I said, yeah, and we got to do it now because I got to go home with a job. So I sat there and I prayed with him for a minute. I said, did you get your answer? And he said, yeah, you're going to be the parish youth minister and outreach coordinator for our community. And it was the Mount Pleasant community. So I became the parish outreach coordinator, working with juvenile courts. They funded my position, which was more than my teaching position. And I developed a relationship with Tom Mullins. He was the president of Catholic Charities. Tom died a few years ago. And he was a great guy. And so Tom said, okay, we're going to put her in schools and she'll work with our adjudicated kids. Adjudicated kids are kids who are in the criminal justice system, and they're trying to place them back in school. So that was my role with the parish. So a few years went by, and I decided it was time to do something different because the priest was leaving. So I said, well, I'm going to pray on this. Well, Tom didn't give me a day to pray. He called me. He said, I heard you were thinking about leaving the parish since Father was leaving. And I said, yeah. He said, well, Martin DePore Center, they're looking for a program director that'll work with youth and seniors. And I thought, wow, that'd be great. I'd love to do that. That just sounds like something that I could get my hands into, working with kids after school and then the seniors during the day. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. Well, got a call. And it was from the CYO office. And they were looking for a program administrator for their urban office. And I thought, I'm over here loving it with these seniors. We go on field trips to the racetrack. We go to Amish country. We pray a little while. We go to the West Side Market. I do all my shopping and they carry my bag. I said, now I got to pray on this one. I'm having a good time over here. Kids don't come in for 2 hours a day. Few little lesson plans and, teaching the GED class. This is gravy. And so then I said, well, maybe it's time to move on. I went over to CYO and had a great time at CYO. It was a wonderful opportunity to be educated. I went back to school. I went to John Carroll to get a second degree. And I'm just loving it until World Youth Day in Denver. That was in 1992. Lord have mercy. I said, Jesus, if you get me out of this, when I go back home, so you don't understand. When I did World Youth Day in 1992, we took 1,500 kids to Denver. And at that time, Bishop Pillar was the secretary of the United States Bishop Conference. And during the time when they were running the National Bishop Conference, the secretary made all the decisions. So Bishop Pillar was the lead man. And so being the lead man, the Diocese of Cleveland had to really look good. So they assigned 2 news reporters with us to travel. 1,500 kids, 300 on the plane, and the others, we're on buses. 33 hours to Denver on the bus with Kelly O'Donnell. And that's why she's looking good on channel was it NBC? She's with NBC now. But she really started with us. She was doing news stories with us about every day while we were in Denver. And we took a number of people from the Fatima community to Denver for that experience. But what broke my back was the night we slept outside. The temperature was like 93 during the day. It wasn't about 27 at night. Some of you young people who went with us. And they had jackrabbits that stood that tall. Now, I'm a country girl. I ain't scared of nothing. But when the jackrabbits are standing up like little kids, it's time to pray God calls you somewhere else. So I said to, I think, Gita, you were a teenager, right? I said, Gita, what happens if your mama don't have a job? She said, Nani, you gotta have a job. I said, because the last time I quit a job, I was calling on a priest. But I said, Gita, what happens if I don't have a job? She said, Nani, you need to find a job. Don't just quit. Because, I want to go to Catholic school. So I said to Bishop Pillar, I said, well, I'm in discernment right now. He said, what does that mean? I said, I'm going to take a few weeks off and think about what I want to do next. Well, he didn't give me a few weeks off. He decided he was not going to call me. He had somebody else calling me because Luke Gleason was retiring from the Office of African American Ministries. And Miss Height, with her big mouth, she told Bishop Pillar that they had interviewed all these people from out of state, She said, we want somebody local who know our community. And I think Vanessa probably knows. She's mature enough now that she should become our director of the office. So Bishop Pillar called me once. Sister Catherine Lee called me for 3 weeks straight, every day at 7 p.m. She said, have you discerned and thought about it? I said, sister, I'm trying to get a little time off from church work. And she said, I just know you would love it. She said, I'm going to do the budget for you. And it's going to be so easy. All the things. So I said, okay, sister, I'll take the position. The next week, she told me she was leaving. Call to serve, even if we don't want to answer, and be on Team Jesus. This is Black History Month. There were several women who were called to serve, and I'm going to name 10. 10 of my favorites. Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, Mary McLeod Bethune, Mae Jemison, Zora Neale Hurston, Shirley Chisholm, Angela Davis, and Rosa Parks. Yet I'm only going to make reference to 3. My 3 favorites, Sojourner Truth, and Harriet Tubman, and Rosa Parks. Like I know, they were on Team Jesus. They changed the community they lived in and the world. Sojourner Truth, she changed her name and became a Christian preacher while living with a family in New York. After the Emancipation Act was passed, she became a vocal supporter of abolition and women's rights. Rosa Parks, the woman who refused to give up her bus seat, sparked a movement that led to the end of segregation. Her courageous act fueled the civil rights movement and inspired Martin Luther King Jr. to get involved. Now, Harriet Tubman, she was my favorite. She formulated a plan to liberate the rest of the family, her family, and others by way of the Underground Railroad system that involved moving slaves from one safe house to another under secrecy. Now y'all know, today, think about it. We can't keep a secret for 5 seconds. If we decided in our church community, let's do something. Let's implement a plan. We have a problem. We just have a problem trying to get some of y'all to join us. We'd also have a difficult time keeping that secret and working together as a team. First, we got to have a meeting. Then we got to have another meeting with the people we didn't have at that meeting. And then we got to have that meeting in that parking lot. And then we got to decide our travel route. Then we'll decide who's the voice of the group. Now y'all know we ain't going to decide on that one. That's going to take a hard time because we're going to need to have somebody that we think can carry our message. And who best can carry your message? But you think you. And that ain't always true. And we must decide if we're going to have refreshments. What kind? Who we going to let get the refreshments? And then we possibly decide who the right people are. Because we don't want all of y'all going. Because some of y'all going to mess up like me. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line everybody up. Because we're going to be on this plan now. We're going to be on this mission. I'm going to line everybody up, take a picture. What somebody else going to do? They're going to take my picture and send it to somebody else. Because it's going to be on Facebook. That picture. And then somebody else, like Gita, she going to text somebody. And then Bianca going to decide that she want to invite her friends. And if we haven't decided that we want everybody in the plan, so you know how that works. That's just how we do things. And it's just like church. Called to serve even if we don't want to answer and be on Team Jesus. When we are asked to make a commitment, y'all know what happens. Be it financial or be giving of yourself and your time, we want to know who came up with that plan. Was it Father Bob? Was it the parish council? Was it Vanessa downtown? We want to know these things. And then we got the people who said, who decided on how much we should be given? Who went in my purse and know how many dollars I got? Y'all know that's the truth. Who went in my purse? And then the best one is, where do I fit in the plan? Can I see myself in the plan? Yes, we got these other folks. It ain't broke. Who decided it needs to be fixed? In order for our community, our church community, to continue to be vibrant, we must engage everyone in the discussion and access the gifts we have as a family. We need to know what everybody has. We need to know what your skills are and how you want to use them and how you want to serve God and others. It is difficult and a real challenge to let go and be on Team Jesus. I remember when St. Cecilia's Church welcomed the folks from the Hallinan Center. And that was it was a part of a ministry at Case Western Reserve. About 50 to 60 people were looking for a church community to go to. And they went out to several parishes just to figure out where they wanted to be. And I remember when Father Dan talked to us as parish council, I was the parish secretary. And he said, this would be a good opportunity for our parish to grow and to identify new ministries. You know how they sell that to you. And I said, Father Dan, they gonna bring any money in here? And he said, probably. But there were others who were skeptical. We don't want people changing the names of our ministry. Will they have committees? Will they be on committees? Will. And it worked. Our community grew. We were more family focused. All the ministries were sucked. They covered the cost for themselves, because I was worried about the money. So it worked out fine. Working together always works. We are all called to stand for common good and on common ground, not stand your ground. We are called to holy ground, not higher ground. We are called to set the world on fire. Take a look in the mirror and